We are proud to have her on our show. Chelsea Green, welcome in. Chelsea, how are you tonight?
Hey, thanks for having me.
Absolutely, it's our pleasure.
Chelsea, yeah, welcome to the show. Thank you very, very much. And it is honestly a shame that you've been eliminated, because now, we said it earlier before we went on the air, we were periscoping. I don't think there's anybody that really has any wrestling experience left on Tough Enough.
No, there isn't. I was the last one standing.
That was it.
Yeah.
It's just a full-blown reality show now.
Right, exactly. That's all it is.
Exactly. It's a bikini competition.
That's all
right,
it is.
yeah. And I don't think Josh or Tanner look very good in those bikinis.
ZZ would fill it out, but wouldn't look good either.
Yeah, right? I think you forgot about him.
Yeah. I wish more people would kind of forget about him, but we'll get into the Tough Enough stuff in just a minute. Let people know, for people that just first saw you on Tough Enough, give us a little bit of a background on yourself, and were you a wrestling fan growing up, and all of that?
Yes, I was a wrestling fan growing up. I wasn't a diehard. I actually wasn't allowed to watch wrestling. My sister and I used to sneak upstairs and turn the TV on and watch Trish Stratus in China. But I was in Calgary 2 years ago when I heard about Lance Storm in his school. And so I decided to go and have a little chat with him, check out his school, and we immediately meshed. And I knew it was something that I really wanted to try. And I got there, and I fell in love with it. Keep in mind, I had never even stepped in a wrestling ring before I met Lance Storm. But I loved it. So I trained with him 3 hours a day, 5 days a week for about 3 months before I started working on the indie circuits in Canada.
Okay, just so we have a time frame, roughly what year was that then?
That was 2013. So January of 2013, and then I left Lance's school around April.
Okay. Now, you had said that you were a big Trish Stratus fan growing up. Was she your favorite wrestler growing up, or did you have a favorite male wrestler?
You know what? I was a Rock and Steve Austin fan, but I think everyone is, right?
Sure, absolutely. I myself was always a huge Stone Cold Steve Austin fan.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. How could you not be?
Right. So first of all, I think we were introduced to you first when you had a segment that took place with Daniel Bryan versus The Authority, and that where you were Megan, and that you had an affair with Daniel Bryan. How did that process really come to be, and how were you selected to portray Megan in that role?
I actually really got lucky with that. I was chosen to be a Rosebud, so I was just doing some extra spots with a couple of other girls in Vancouver and down in Washington, and they asked me if I wanted to play a small part, which was Megan Miller. I had no idea what I was getting myself into, but of course I was going to do it, because even getting the opportunity to be an extra so new into my wrestling career was amazing. So then to be offered the part of Megan Miller and to be handed that script was obviously a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. So it was just kind of dumb luck that I was the person that they chose at that time. But I felt like I had to take the opportunity and run with it, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Right place, right time.
Exactly.
And my last name is Miller, so leave it to a Miller to be the home wrecker of the WWE. That's great.
Exactly.
Now, fast forward to a few months ago, when the announcement came out that they were bringing Tough Enough back, and it was a YouTube video audition. What made you actually finally decide to submit a video and enter yourself into the Tough Enough competition?
I knew the minute that I heard Tough Enough was coming back that I was going to do it. I didn't know I would actually make the show, but I knew I was going to send a video in and do whatever I could to have an opportunity to be on the show, because really it's so hard to even be seen by a company like WWE. So at least if you send in a video or do it that way, they're going to take a look at you. They have to, right? And so what's the worst that could happen? So I knew right away I was going to do that.
All right, so you send in your submission, and I think you were in part of the top 40.
Yep. I was in the
show?
top 40 tryout.
When and during that process, when did you find out that you didn't make the actual cut for the rest of the show? And your feelings about that, did it make you more determined, or anything like that?
Yeah, so we had our 3-day tryout, and on the second day, I believe, we had cuts, and we went down to about 20. And I made it through that day, and then it was late on the third night, probably about midnight, when we were cutting down to the final, top 13. And that's when I got cut. I was one of the last 3 standing in the ring, and they sent me packing. But they did tell me that there was a possibility that I might be able to be brought back as an alternate if anything were to happen, if anyone, is injured or doesn't clear medical testing, anything like that. So at the time, of course, I was bummed out, right? It was something I really, really wanted to do. But I knew that it wasn't the end, and I was so happy to be able to have those 3 days with the coaches and with Lita and Billy and Booker T, and be able to shake all those hands. So I kind of just used it as a stepping stone, not thinking that I would actually be brought back. And I went back home, and I made sure I was training just as hard as I was before in case something happened.
Okay, yeah, so obviously you were brought back when Diana left the show, and they had kind of, like you said, prepped you that they were maybe going to use you in case something came up. Was it still kind of unexpected? Were you kind of caught off guard, or did somebody, how did that whole process go about, or did somebody kind of prep you for it?
No, it was totally unexpected. I was actually in the middle of moving to Calgary from BC. I had my mattress strapped onto my roof, and I was heading off on the road when I got the call. And I was not prepped at all. I had been watching the show, of course, but just as a fan. And I got the call, and it was literally like, you're leaving in 3 days. If you want this opportunity, we're flying you out in 3 days, and you're going to be thrown right into the competition.
Wow.
Yeah, wow.
I mean, really, it was. Now we've interviewed Daria the week after she was eliminated, and then the following week is when you were brought back in. Was there any issues that you felt from the house that maybe Daria shouldn't have been eliminated because somebody else left, or was there any issue with that with other competitors, with female competitors, or was that kind of known that if somebody left, they could get replenished, or
yeah, I didn't think, coming in, of course the girls were a little bit standoffish at first, but that being said, I was at the tryout one of the only girls who had actually worked to get here. I had worked around the indie scene in Canada and had that wrestling training. So if there was anyone that deserved this spot, they knew that it was me. I had a little bit more backlash from the WWE universe and some of the fans of Daria that thought, it wasn't fair and that Diana should have gone home and Daria should have stayed. But I think that they quickly realized when the first episode aired with me in it that I did deserve to be in that spot, and, I've worked my butt off to get there. And then it kind of calmed down. So it was just a couple days that I dealt with a little bit of issues, but nothing crazy. And to be honest, I don't even care, because they can say all they want and they can talk all they want. That's fine by me. If they're, if my name is in their mouths, that's going to be more promotion and publicity for me. At the end of the day, I wanted this, so I was going to take the opportunity and run with it.
Absolutely. Now, right off the bat, it seemed like, I think it was either your first or second challenge, you suffered that ankle injury. Was there fear in you that because you had just been brought back in and it happened so quickly that they might jump to replace you, or did they kind of let the injury and evaluation process play out and let it kind of be your call?
You know what? They rolled my ankle. I knew it was bad. I knew right away it was really, really bad. And so immediately I started crying. And not even because of the pain, but because I'm thinking, oh my God, I got all the way here finally, and this happens to me. On the third challenge, it was the second week. So people didn't even have a chance to get to know me yet. And everyone kind of kept me in the dark as to what was going to happen, whether they were going to send me home, whether they were going to wait and see how it played out. Luckily, because I hurt my ankle on a Thursday, we didn't actually have any physicality that we had to do until that next week. So I was given the opportunity to, elevate it and ice it and rest for that weekend, and kind of see on Monday how it felt. It obviously didn't feel good, but at that point, I wasn't going to let that ankle injury stop me if I was able to kind of walk on it.
Okay. And how much in-ring work was there during a week of filming, or even that they weren't filming? I know how the show is presented. There seems to be very little that we see as a viewing audience. But how much time do you actually get to spend in the ring during a week?
Well, it's too bad that you guys really get to see such a small part of what we do, because we're in the ring and we're training every day, whether it's in the ring or in the gym. We do something every day. Sometimes we're doing something twice a day, and off camera we do some work as well. Billy and Lita are always in the performance center and helping us out, and if we need extra time or a little bit of extra attention in one area, they help us. So we had something going on every day, and then on the weekends we were always at the gym. So the thing is that they really couldn't show all that in the 30 minutes that you get to see of the reality side of things. But I mean, and everyone kind of said on social media, oh, they're not in the ring, they're not learning things. But I mean, we were learning a lot, because a lot of these competitors had never stepped foot in a ring, and then they're doing spots right now and learning how to sell.
Right. No, that's a good point. I don't think we ever really had anybody talk about that. We've had a few other Tough Enough guests on our show, and we've always likened it to previous seasons of Tough Enough, where they were at like the Trax training facility in Al Snow, and I mean that out of the 60-minute show, 40 minutes was them physically training at Trax. It seemed like, and it seemed like with the first week you guys just learned to take a bump. Then the second week it was like take a bump off of a body slam. Then it was take a bump off of a body slam followed by an elbow. It just seemed like a really, really slow progression.
Yeah.
Going in there
I know,
with wrestling.
It does seem like that, but that's the thing. What you don't see is what we're doing on the days when we're not filming, which is learning all the other things aside from the stuff that we're doing in that challenge, because that's really what we can show on TV is the challenges. But outside of that, they're trying to teach us the psychology and everything. Sure.
Now, going in with wrestling experience, did you find yourself getting frustrated working with people that were so green? Or was that it just gave you an edge up in the competition, you feel?
Yeah, going into it, I was really, really confident, because I knew when it came to the in-ring challenges that I had no excuse to lose, Of course, it's frustrating when you know more than the next person, but I was just there. I was just there last year or the year before. So I really can't get frustrated when people, aren't learning that quickly or having difficulties with things, because they're new and I was there less than 48 months ago. So I'm kind of happy to teach people maybe what I wasn't taught and the things that I wish that someone had told me. And that's what I always like to, kind of like give the girls a little bit of lessons on everything. Or when we go home from training, I kind of like to simplify things for them because we don't all learn the same way. And it's very, very hard to get into that ring under pressure with a bunch of legends watching you and perform at 100%. Sometimes you do need to learn, maybe a little bit slower or a different technique, or you need to learn hands-on, and that's not always what you get in the performance center. So I kind of enjoyed being able to teach them what I know as well.
Okay, now this year the fans get a vote in the Tough Enough competition. Did it ever cross your mind, or were you ever afraid that you would be remembered from that Daniel Bryan angle that you had on Raw, and that might affect the way the fans voted?
That's so funny. I actually didn't even think about the fact that it might affect the voting. I knew that people would remember, especially WWE fans. They remember everything. So I knew going into it that they would remember. But what I was more nervous about is, how is Daniel Bryan going to handle that situation? What is he going to do? Is he going to, play it off and maybe dislike me the entire time? Is he going to bring it up right away? Is he never going to speak of it and act like he doesn't know me? And, how am I going to have to handle that situation? So it was nerve-wracking going into the live shows, and not knowing.
Now, did you have any interaction with him before that first live show you were on, or was it
No.
was that really the first time that that you had seen or talked to him since that storyline?
That was the first time, and that was the first time I had really met any of the judges. So it was terrifying.
Well, I can imagine. Now, throughout the training process, did you have a favorite trainer that you worked with there, or was it just the whole group that you enjoyed?
Well, going into it, see, they're so different. Booker has his character, Billy has his character, and Lita has her character. And going into it, I was pretty starstruck, of course, learning from three of the most amazing wrestlers. But I think I connected the most with Lita. Being a woman and having her get in the ring and be able to lock up with her. And, a couple times she took me aside and threw some clotheslines and got me to bump. And that to me was amazing, because working with a man is a lot different than working with a woman. And then working with Lita, of all women, I really, really was excited every time that she got in the ring and got to work with us girls. I think that you guys might have seen she put a GoPro on her head for one of the training days, and I got to do a couple little spots with her on the GoPro, so that was really cool to watch afterwards.
Yeah, I bet.
Now, if the WWE has another season of Tough Enough, and in my opinion, that's a huge if, the way the numbers really have kind of tapered off here in the past couple weeks, since they've eliminated the likes of Patrick and yourself, and we're really down to people that don't really know how to wrestle, and it's much more of it's just a reality show. What would you change about the show if you could change anything about the show? What would it be to improve the show?
You know what? All I want is for people to see how hard we're all really working. I make a joke about that the bikini models are left. But the thing is that the bikini models are working just as hard as I am, the wrestler. We're all working so hard, 7 days a week, and not just in the physical competitions, but mentally you have to be so strong to be able to live in those barracks and be under that pressure. And I just wish that people could get a little more insight as to how much pressure we're really under, and the amount of training that we're doing, and I really have to give it to all of the people left in the competition that never stepped in the ring and are now looking like naturals, because that's extremely hard after 2 months of training to be able to look like a natural in the ring. So I just wish people kind of understood that a little better, and or maybe that we could show a little more of that.
Okay. I'm going to put you on the spot here. Who do you think walks away the Tough Enough winner
I'm going to go with, I love all the guys, and I love them for totally different reasons. But for guys, I'm going with Yeti, Josh, because I do think he has the whole package. I've heard him speak. I know what he's like, in person, in real life. And in the ring, he is picking everything up so quickly. It's amazing. And then for the girls, I said this on Tough Talk. I think my biggest competition in Tough Enough was Gigi. And so I think that she really deserves to win. Amanda is amazing too, and I think that Sarah's just learning at a slower pace. But when it comes down to it, I think that the last woman standing will be Gigi.
And do you think out of those two, obviously they get the contract, do you think anybody else in the very near future, do you see anybody else coming down with a contract?
I really hope so, because even the final 13, I liked all of them. I think that each person had something very different about them. Daria being a fighter, that's amazing, and her being able to pick up wrestling really quickly, I think she could kind of have a good character. Mata just looks and acts like a wrestler. He is a natural. Of course, Patrick deserves the opportunity. So, to be honest, I think almost every one of those people in the barracks deserves a chance.
Awesome.
Now, is your dream, of course, still to make it to the WWE?
Oh, definitely. And this has only made me more hungry. And I'm definitely just training my butt off, and I'll be there. It's just a matter of time.
That's awesome. Who would your dream match be against? If you had to pick one person to have a dream match against, who would it be?
You know what? I actually just thought of this, and my dream match would be a triple threat, myself versus Natalia versus Trish Stratus. Dream match.
That'd be a fun match to watch.
That would be awesome.
Right?
Our third man as a part of our third man as a part of our team is our he fills in as co-host. He's our stat guy to make sure we don't say anything stupid. He acts somewhat as our producer and booker. I mean, the guy does so much. He wonders. His name is Matt. He wonders, and now so do we, that he brought the question to our attention. Obviously, the big thing in WWE right now is this Divas Revolution. What are your thoughts on that, being a woman in professional wrestling?
I think that there is no better time than right now to get into women's wrestling. The Divas Revolution, it truly is a movement right now. It's amazing. The talent is only getting better. Those girls in NXT, physically, they're at their peak. They're able to do things that no other group of divas have been able to do. So I think that now is the best time to be getting into this and learning and be able to watch and learn from those NXT girls and the girls on the main roster.
Now, what for your indie career? Let's talk about your indies a little bit. Have you held any championships? Have you wrestled anybody that sticks out in your head as maybe your favorite match that you've wrestled so far? Away from the WWE a little bit now.
Yeah, well, right now I'm the Girls Gone Wrestling champion. That's a promotion that we just started in BC, but there's girls from all over, from Mexico, from the States, that wrestle in that company. My favorite match, well, I went on tour last summer and I got to wrestle April Hunter, and that was the biggest learning experience aside from Lance Storm that I've had, because being able to be on the road with her every single day and pick her brain and every match improve and take things away from it, I really, really had a good time with that. And then I started off my indie career at ECCW in Vancouver, BC, and I've been able to have matches with Nicole Matthews, who's the Shimmer champion right now. And so that has been really, really good for me, because her having about 9 years of experience can constantly critique me and help me learn kind of her style and the way that she does things. And so that has really helped me as well. But I have so many favorite matches that I can't even pick one, because every time I get in the ring, I feel like I'm so new that every time I get in the ring, I improve so much, and so that's my new favorite match.
Awesome.
Now, and is there anything about your career, your thoughts, your anything that we missed in this interview that you'd like to add to it?
Well, I just hope that people listen and understand that I truly am in this for the wrestling career. I was never in this show to, become a reality star or for people to get to know me that way. I just want people to know that I am here because I want to be in the WWE and I want to stay. I want that to be my career. So if there was any doubt in anyone's mind, I want to make sure that doubt is gone. I absolutely love wrestling, and I will make it. It might not be tough enough, it might be through somewhere else, but at some point you're going to see me there.
That's great. And we sincerely hope that you do make it to the WWE someday, and we will certainly we will certainly be, keeping track of you and encouraging you in any way that we can. Just let everybody know where they can find you on social media and keep track of your career as well.
Yeah, so you can find me on Twitter at ToughChelseaG, or on Instagram and my Facebook fan page, Chelsea A. Green.
All right, very good, Chelsea. Thank you so much for coming on the show tonight, and it was an honor for us. It was a pleasure for us, and we hope you take care.
Thank you guys very much for having me. Have a good one.
Thank you. You as well,
yep,
Chelsea.
You as well. All right, let's bring him in. Dab Savage, welcome into the show. How are you doing?
Guys, doing great. How you guys doing?
We're doing good. We're doing good. Thanks for joining us.
Very good. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
No problem. Hey, I was trying to think earlier when I called in, you called in at exactly the right time. The word I was looking for was poignant. I'm very poignant.
I like it.
Yes, yeah, very punctual, poignant. We appreciate that.
Well, Dab Savage has to be well spoken.
Awesome. So, very first thing we like to do is to get a little bit of background on you for people that have never heard of you, anything like that. And then what attracted you to the wrestling business? Were you a fan growing up, and did you have any favorite wrestlers, things like that?
Okay, well, first off, I would be shocked if there's anybody out there that hasn't heard of me. But yeah, I was a fan growing up, huge fan. I'm from a little town in Georgia, so I grew up a WCW guy. WCW used to come to my hometown, so I got to see Sting and Vader and all those guys growing up. So I was always just attracted to it. I didn't, I always get asked, did I wrestle in high school or college or anything like that? And the answer is no. I was literally just a fan, a fanboy. I'd have the Nitro parties, and me and my buddies would chip in and watch the pay-per-views. And it wasn't until I got to be probably, I don't know, early mid-20s. Probably like 23, 24. This is tell you, my age now, but I had a MySpace page, and I had a picture of me on my profile picture was a picture of me and Triple H or somebody, and at the time, I still am, but at the time, I had a real good look, big and strong and tan, and so a guy messaged me and he was like, "Hey, I saw your profile here on MySpace. Are you a wrestler? Or excuse me, we'll use the correct terminology. Are you a worker?" And I was like, "Nah, dude. I'm actually just a big fan." And he's like, "Oh, well, I train down in Ocala with the Funks, and you got a good look. Have you ever thought about doing it?" And I went on my whole little tangent about how, it was my dream and I would have loved to have done it, but, I went to school and got a degree and got a job and, all the responsible stuff. And so long story short, he invited me to come out to his ring and just, kind of run the ropes and see if it was something that I would like to continue to maybe try to do. And so I said, sure, and So I'd work all day and or get up and work out and then work all day, and then I'd drive an hour out to his place and went out there and just kind of picked up on it. And first day, you know how it is. It's not as hardcore as it probably was back in the day, but beat me up pretty good, and basically asked, are you going to be back? And I said, hell yeah, I'll see you tomorrow. And and just got to the point where I was coming out there every day and training and stuff, and so you can only practice suplexes and body slams and chain wrestling and run the ropes for so long until you have to get out there and do it. And so finally, a few months down the road, I had my first match in a flea market in Middle Georgia somewhere, and in front of a astounding 32 people, and made $10 and got a hot dog, and so but I was hooked at that point, and I was like, I'm going to continue to do this. So I worked the rinky-dink indie shows for a long time, or not a long time, but long enough to have some matches and get it under my belt. But I never was really, I didn't grow up watching wrestling or keeping up with it and buying T-shirts and going to shows to main event middle schools. So I got into the marketing aspect of it, and started making these cool little videos and stuff, and then instead of sending a dim lit video to different promoters around, I would have these cool like pro shot videos and stuff, and I would send those out, and I made the perception that I was a bigger deal than I was, and ended up kind of getting like this little cult following and that kind of thing. So sorry, I kind of went off a tangent there, but so that's kind of my story of how it all got started and how it sort of started to build. And as far as favorite wrestlers growing up, again, I'm an '80s baby, so I was a big Hogan mark, big Macho Man mark. As I got a little bit older, as WCW started coming around, I was really, really into Jericho. I still am. I'm actually got smacked on my iPad right now. He's about to come out in the light-up jacket. But the big Jericho mark, I was a huge Shawn Michaels wrestler, or Shawn Michaels fan. So when wrestling became something that I was like, man, I'd really like to do that, those are my two favorites. But growing up, it was like every other kid in that era. It was, Sting, Hogan, Macho Man.
Awesome, man. Jim and I are both probably got to be right around the same age because, I know we both started, watching in the 80s, really, really became big fans into the 90s. So right in there, like when you're off, Savage and Macho Man and Hulk Hogan. Mine personally is WrestleMania 3. I go back to WrestleMania 3, the very first wrestling VHS tape that I owned, and watched that religiously. So definitely right around the same age, I feel, watching wrestling and growing up that way.
Awesome. Yeah, I still that's one of my favorite WrestleManias to watch. I still to this day I've kept all of my old VHS wrestling tapes, and I've got the network and everything. But I'm like you, I'll still pop in the VHS here and there just for old time's sake. Nothing like Be Kind, Please Rewind.
Right, absolutely. Now let's go back just a little bit. You were talking about your training. You said you've been trained by a few people. Johnny Romano was one of them. What would you say was probably the most valuable lesson you learned during your training?
Well, I'd say, he was the guy who broke me in, and he was my tag team partner on and off for a long time. Probably the most valuable lesson I ever learned. I'm going to come across as such a tool, but that's fine. But probably the most valuable lesson I ever learned was I was working this really podunk, low-budget indie show in Columbus, Georgia one time. And it was a group that had some people with money that were backing it, but just booked like absolute garbage. I wasn't good by any means. I'm still not. I will never claim to be a good wrestler, but I was was very charismatic, and I took care of myself. I looked like a wrestler, which, I mean, shit, 85% of people on the indie scene can't say. But, and the most valuable lesson I ever got was from Chase Stevens, and we had just worked this god-awful show, and he said, and I actually had wrestled him, and we got to the back, and I was still young and green, and, I looked at him, and I was like, what could I have done better? He went over some things, and and I'll never forget this day. He goes, man, the best advice I have for you is what anybody for this company tells you to do the complete opposite.
Nice.
Now, there's, of course, many different layers to the wrestling business. What, if any, would you say are your favorite? Is it, developing your character, developing a move set, the rapport backstage with the other guys? Is there anything that really stands out to you as your favorite part of the wrestling business?
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely not taking bumps. Definitely not getting hit with a chair, or going through a table. Honestly, again, for your listeners and especially your guys that are in the business and stuff like that, I'm going to come across as like a jerk, and that's fine. I'm really not. But, wrestling is very, it's not, I want you to do well if we're in the same locker room, but at the end of the day, I don't really, because there's such a small window for opportunity and a small window for success that you're not really, you're not rooting against the people in the locker room, but you're not rooting for them because that's just a spot that it would be taken away from you. So as far as the camaraderie, shit, if I could bum a free ride, then yeah, that was cool. My favorite aspect of the whole thing was just the performance aspect of it. That's why, I'm not a UFC fan really, because UFC is blah, 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 blah. I'm a big guy. Ooh, I'm a big guy too. I got down to 185 pounds. Let's fight. Blah, blah, blah. And I don't care about that. I don't care about actually, it's the performance. It's putting together okay, you're the heel, I'm the baby face, or I'm the heel, whatever, blah, 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 blah. Let's coming up with this cool story of why we're here and why we're in this match, and, why, I'm going over, you're going over, and if so, then what are we going to do next week? And then if whatever we're going to do next week, what are we going to do the week after that? And just building the story and having a resolution for the story, and, just the fan interaction, because even when you're, in a theater or National Armory or something, and there might only be a couple hundred people in the crowd, to them, especially the kids and stuff like that, they look at you like a John Cena or a whatever. So it's the building the story, making the story make sense, and the crowd interaction. As far as the character development goes, I'm a huge 80s. I like, Poison and Motley Crue and, Cinderella and glam. And so my character really isn't that far-fetched from, me as a person. So as far as, developing the character, it wasn't really hard because it was basically, me after, 9 vodka tonics or whatever. So it wasn't. It wasn't real tough to come out with that aspect of it. So yeah, camaraderie, just like I said, building the story, building the, making it mean something, making everything make sense, and just the crowd interaction. Because you guys probably, you're around the business, in the business, and you see. And I'm not blasting all indies by any means, because there's some really good independent wrestling out there. There's some independent wrestling that's better sometimes than what you see on TV. But there's also a bunch of real crappy independent wrestling. And there's a lot of what gets lost, unfortunately, sometimes, not just in independent wrestling, but just in wrestling in general, is they just, they just throw two people together and they have a match, and the fans are supposed to know who to cheer for because one guy comes out and slaps their baby's hand, and the other one comes out and stomps his sunglasses. It's just like, that's so stupid. Like, give them a reason to cheer or boo other than just some stupid stuff that you watched on Saturday Morning Superstars back in '92. Like, make it mean something. That's my big thing. And how'd you like the Saturday Morning '92 reference? Boom.
And you make a really good point again that independent wrestling doesn't mean it has to be bad wrestling. Nowhere does it say that you can't have storylines and you can't have backstage segments on independent wrestling scenes.
No, you can't. But you can all. But if you're going to run a show in the same venue for an extended period of time, you can at least make some of your matches mean something.
Sure.
You don't necessarily have to say, okay, the guy in the black trunks weighing in at 213 pounds, he's the bad guy, boo him, boo. Okay, and the guy with the American flag trunks with the sparkly jacket, he's the good guy, so cheer him, yay! And then next week they're going to wrestle two completely different people. It's not going to make no sense.
Right.
Like, you can at least build, you don't have to have backstage segments and camera crews for it to make sense and build a story. That's all I'm saying.
I must have actually skipped over this part. So kind of a tie-in from what we talked about with your training. But you do a lot of yoga.
I do a lot of yoga. I do DDP yoga. There's a plug for you, Dallas.
There you go. Let's talk about that and kind of how it seems to be a growing trend amongst wrestlers.
Yeah, when I wrestled, I don't really. I'm semi-retired, I guess. I don't wrestle. I take a couple shows a year if it's feasible for me to do, and it makes sense, and I can, it's something I want to do. But when I was wrestling, several times a week or whatever, I was 225, 230 pounds, and as I used to say, rock hard steel and sex appeal. But when you weigh that much and you carry around that much muscle, and you're in a car for hours a night, 4 or 5 nights a week, and you're going out there and taking 8 suplexes and body slams and bump feed, and so you're taking a ton of bumps, and that's a lot of weight to be doing that. And at the time, I was strictly, a weightlifter, and I did a lot of cardio. And I did the cardio to lift heavy weight, eat like crazy, but still, fit my spandex. But what ended up happening to me was, I got to where I couldn't hardly walk. I remember I was like 27 years old, and I'd go to get out of my bed. I couldn't move my leg. And, I would literally have to hold on to my bed, walk over to my nightstand, put my hand on my nightstand, and then I had like an inversion table thing, and then I would go to my inversion table and lay upside down for 10 minutes just so I could walk in the kitchen and, make coffee or whatever. And I was like, there's just no way I can do this. So I got into, I started doing a couple, I was never like hell-bent on the whole yoga thing. I thought, I knew a lot of yoga moms from the gym, and I thought, though they were kind of hot, they were usually weird. So I was like, I'm never going to be one of these people that say namaste and, blow candles. This is not my deal. But as the pain just got worse and worse, and I was too young to feel that way. Once I started winding down, especially after when I turned 30 is when I did my little deal with TNA, which I'm sure we'll get into, but, I started I cut down the weight. I got down to, I walked around at, 210, 215, a little leaner. So I started feeling a little bit better. And then I was like, and then I started, seeing all the DDP stuff, and, I don't know, just figured, hell, I'll give it a whirl. And, I do it. I don't do it every day because I still do work out. But I do it a couple times a week, and I'm certified to do it now, and I love it. I think it's I'm a again, I'm not on team page. I wish. Wink, wink, Dallas, if you're listening. But no, I think I'm a firm believer, and I think it's good for any fitness level. It's helped me. I mean, I have no back issues anymore. I mean, again, I'm a lot lighter than I was at the time, but it's definitely helped me tremendously as far as just everyday activity. And then the few times that I do wrestle, my recovery is way better. Because wrestling's one of those things. You never get used to it, but when you're doing it, several times a week or whatever, you can take all those bumps. You wake up the next day and you're like, you're just used to it. But when you do it once a month or whatever, or even farther away than that with me now, you go out and take 15 bumps and it's like literally like you got in a car wreck. So it's good. It's just all around wrestling, personal, professional life. It's just been good for me.
That's awesome. Yeah, sometimes when you hear the commercials, the guys that have used it and are like kind of sponsored by it, you figure it might just be a little bit of a marketing ploy. But to hear somebody that uses it, and is not kind of getting paid to sell it, is cool. So very interesting. Now you touched on TNA and your time that you spent there a little bit. What does it mean for you that you were able to have such success with a big name company like that? And does anything stand out, not only from your time in TNA, but just in general as your greatest achievement?
Yeah, the TNA thing was really cool. Basically the way it all ended was when I was 30 years old, and I'd kind of made a pact to myself that all right, dude, you're 30. You don't want to be that guy that's 47 with his hair thin, with fucking hair on his back that's like wrestling in the middle school for 40 people with a dream. I'm not doing that. So I'd kind of set my cutoff date at 30. You always hear the WWE doesn't sign anybody at 30 and blah 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 blah. So anyway, I had done a couple of the TNA gut check things and stuff like that. And so I'm from a little town called Albany, Georgia, the good life city. And so I don't know, they ended up contacting me and were like, hey, we're going to be in your hometown. Would you be interested in working a dark match? And I was like, yeah. So, it was really cool. I mean, the match was meh. But the whole experience was awesome. Being backstage with guys that you watch on TV, and that's the same Civic Center that I grew up my whole life going to wrestling shows at, and I ran an independent promotion in my hometown. So a lot of my friends had seen me wrestle, in like a theater setting or like a fair setting or something like that. But just for them to for Christy Hemme to call my name on the microphone and me to get a promo and do a match. And, in the Civic Center that I'd grown up watching wrestling for, all my friends and stuff to see was definitely up there as, obviously I wish I couldn't, I mean, I'm very happy to be on this car now, but I wish that I couldn't take it because I was on SmackDown or whatever, but, at the end of the day, it didn't happen. But no, I'm very happy with a lot of things I accomplished. The TNA thing was probably for sure one of my more mainstream successes. Probably my second biggest, I guess, thing that I accomplished as far as mainstream notoriety like that with wrestling was I got to work a pay-per-view 3 years ago, or not quite, 2013. Where I got a tag team with Jake the Snake Roberts, and that was a really cool experience. Got to be in the same locker room with Flair and Razor Ramon and all these guys like I legitimately had grown up watching on TV. So that was really cool too, and it was a huge crowd. I mean, the crowd was bigger than the TNA crowd. It was a few thousand people. So that was awesome. That was kind of like one of those. Like, whew, there's one of those goosebump kind of moments. So, but yeah, yeah, as far as mainstream wrestling accomplishments, those are probably my two biggest ones for sure.
You brought up a really cool point about sharing our locker room with such notable veterans, things like that. What advice would you have to somebody that's maybe starting out in the indie wrestling scene or on their wrestling journey when they get a chance to share a locker room with somebody that you said like Jake the Snake Roberts or Ric Flair or somebody like that? Or who else did you say? I'm drawing a blank.
No, I got you, man. I would say, it's really hard to say, because, a lot of the guys, especially the older guys, are in it strictly for, payday. But, hell, always, it's the old saying, nobody's going to promote you but you. Nobody's going to put you over but you. So, hell, introduce yourself and let them know who you are. And, when you go out there and have your match, go out there and put on the best performance you can put on. That doesn't mean you got to go out there and do, a freaking shooting star press on the thumbtacks, but just go out there and entertain the crowd and get over and, let them know who you are, because if they have any kind of, connection, it can't hurt for them to at least know who you are. And if it's a cool, if it's somebody that's cool, if it's somebody that, wants to talk, pick their brain, because, you're going to get way better advice from a Jake the Snake or a veteran like that that has made it to the big dance, and you're going to get from, freaking Leroy Brown, the flea market world champion in Sasser, Georgia. The
flea market championship's a pretty important belt. I mean,
don't go. I've held several flea market titles. Okay, you're talking to the 7-time flea market tag team champion here.
That the reuse it title is always good. The one that's taped together, yeah.
Oh yeah. Or the old WCW tag team title that has black tape over the W, and then has the first initial of whatever the championship wrestling fed is that you're working.
That fed is right. At least they're not the plastic toy ones. We can go with that.
Oh my God! So, funny story, real quick. So, speaking of the plastic ones, I was. It was actually a really. I mean, it's a really like shitty ring and stuff, but it was a really cool little Dothan, Alabama, which the Dothan Farm Center was a huge mecca for wrestling, like the 80s. Like, I mean, Hogan wrestled there, Andre the Giant wrestled there. Obviously the Armstrong family from that area, it was really big there. But this little wrestling promotion that I used to wrestle for, I mean, they would no kidding draw, 400 or 500 people. And it was, I mean, like, literally the entire, they would have, like, a name, and then the name would, like, bring his guy that he was going to work. And then the rest of the show was, like, literally, fat guys in T-shirts and, Rey Mysterio mask. But, and then, of course, me, so it was just incredible. But I don't know where I was going with the story. Oh, yeah. So they were like, I get there, and they were trying to be like, so legit about it, like, all right, blah, 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 everybody, here's your time limits. It's like, okay, first off, that guy in the Rey Mysterio mask is not going 16 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and tell you that right now. So go ahead and, read your little script and, feel like, Vince McMahon if you want to, whatever they're cooking. So they were going over their whole little deal, and they were like, all right, Dab, we're going to put the tag straps on you tonight. And I was like, oh, yeah. And they were like, yeah, and they brought them out. And they were literally like the Toys R Us plastic, like WWF wrestling belts. And I was like, hell no. Because I could just see it now, we win the tag team championship thing, and then they want to take the promo picture with the, garbage bag entrance ramp. And I could just see that shit going on Facebook, and then all my friends being like, oh, well, Dad, you're really moving up in the world, huh? Congratulations, you're tag team champion. And I was like, look, I'm not winning that.
Right.
I'm sorry. Like, this is the first time I've ever just been like, no, I'm not going over. Nope, not doing it.
Nope. No, there you go. We actually use plastic ones for our fantasy football league. We have the championship one, and then we use the Divas one for the worst person in the league. They get the Divas belt.
That's genius.
And it's nothing against the women. We love women wrestling. It's just that Divas belt is that ugly that the person deserves.
Oh, it's hideous.
It's the worst.
Hideous.
Now you brought it up. You've wrestled in all sorts of matches, tag team matches, singles matches. Matt has included me in that you wrestled in a loser eats dog food match.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that first of all. And is there anything that you prefer? Like, do you have a preference of match that you wrestled in, or are you just happy to be out there?
Yeah. I really like the gimmick matches like that. The dog food, but they have to. Well, that one was funny. The one that you guys are probably talking about, man, that was just literally thrown together at the last minute. But I like the gimmick matches if they mean something. You know what I mean? Like, I like doing, like, I'm not like one of these indie hardcore guys who's like, must have hardcore match. You can hit me with chair. But if we've wrestled for 4 months and we got to end it, like, hell yeah, I'll do a hardcore match with you. I don't care, like, because it means something at that point. But but yeah, I'm a fan of the gimmick matches and their draw. I mean, if you have a poster up and it's got last man standing or loser eats dog food or loser wears a dress or whatever it might be, it's a draw. It's because people are like, damn, I want to see that guy eat dog food. But yeah, the loser eats the loser eats dog food one. Okay, so I started a wrestling promotion in Georgia years ago, and I did it completely right. I lost like every single match. I never had a title. I mean, that's for anybody out there that's trying to run their fed that also wrestles. Don't put the belt on yourself, and don't go over every week. The little Savage 101. You can write that down. Yeah. But anyway, but it was my hometown. I was the draw. So we just decided we'd throw together for the first show. We'd throw together this gimmick loser eats dog food match, and literally with no names. I mean, as far as like, WWE or TNA names. Literally, local guys, people that I, knew and stuff. With that being the headlining match, in the little town of Albany, Georgia, we drew 500 people.
Nice.
Which, as you guys know, that probably follow indie wrestling, is incredible. So I don't know where I was going with that whole thing. I think I was just putting over what a great promoter I was. But yeah,
But you said yourself, you have to sell yourself.
Oh yeah, you got to be a whore.
Right.
You got to be a whore. Call me Paris Hilton. But yeah, but I guess getting around the gimmick matches are fun, but that being kind of an exception to the rule, I think they have to mean something, and and I'm not, and you can have, and even with like the hardcore matches and stuff, like I feel like you can have one of those and still don't have to like kill yourself. You can. I do a lot. Like whenever I do like a big match like that, there's a lot of build up. If you come out, the first thing you do is bust your opponent in the head with a chair. What are you gonna do next? Set him on fire? Like you can build it and build it and build it, and by the time you finally do hit him with that chair or you do go through that table, it's like you've got that crowd. If you come out the gate swinging, and I mean you got to literally break a mirror and stab each other for the crowd to even pop at that point. So, you can have cool gimmick matches without get too crazy.
All right, now you have kind of touched on it that you're kind of semi-retired, made a transition kind of into the acting world. Was that an easy transition for you? And how does preparing for an acting role compared to preparing for a wrestling match?
It's 1,000 times easier. It's like Tom Cruise has nothing on Dolph Ziggler. I'll just put it that way. No, it's because in acting there's takes. You can't botch a suplex and be like, okay, crowd, turn your head. We're gonna try that one more time. Johnny, run off the ropes. Boom, boom, boom. Okay. But no, it was a very to me it was a very easy transition. Because again, as far as like my wrestling and stuff goes, I'm so much more character performance based anyway than I am actually like Chris Benoit, so it was a pretty smooth transition, it's just a matter of the hardest part of acting is just getting I guess the difference, the pros and cons is with wrestling, if you have a good gimmick and a decent look, well, in my case, a dabulous look, boom. If it's easy to get booked because you look good on a poster. In acting, it's a lot harder to get booked because there's so many people that look a certain way, and you're so stereotyped on like, are you the exact right person for this role? Is your hair the right way? Are you the right height? Is your eyes the right color? So as far as like the getting booked for a gig, wrestling's 10,000 times easier. But as far as like once you get booked, to be able to, do it or perform or whatever, acting is really not that hard.
All right, now the one question we always like to ask our guests, because we love the answers, we've gotten so many different interesting answers from it. What would your dream match be if somebody calls you and says you get to pick one opponent from all of wrestling history and one venue? What would your match be?
Handicap match with you three guys in a flea market in Georgia.
for the toy titles, right?
That's right. We're gonna merge the Divas Championship and the Fantasy Football Championship together. We have an undisputed title. But besides that,
I'll tell you what. I'm coming off the corn dog stand with the sledgehammer.
Hey, as long as you pay me with a couple corn dogs, we'll call it even.
We'll laugh it off at the end.
That's more than I made my first show. Probably. Oh my gosh. I would say venue, and I've never been there, but the Madison Square Garden. I'm sure that's so unoriginal, but it would be. And opponent, I'm gonna go Jericho. I'm gonna say Dab versus Jericho. I just think because I've emulated him so much. He's been my favorite wrestler since Ralphus, and I followed him from early WCW to where he is now, and we have a lot. All my friends call me low budget Jericho because we kind of just have kind of follow the same path. I'm really into music, and I play music and sing, and I've done some acting, and obviously I was such a badass wrestler and stuff like that. So I would say light up jacket Jericho versus getting up there in age Dab in Madison Square Garden would be my dream opponent.
Awesome, love it.
I guess you could say that would be Dabulous.
That would be Dabulous, and I would even do some DDP yoga so you guys can see my rock hard dabs glistening in the light.
That is awesome. Before we let you go here, just let everybody know where they can keep track of you on social media, and any things that are in the pipeline for you, Dab Savage.
Awesome. Well, I unfortunately, which I just recently deleted Facebook because I hated all the memes and the share if you want to go to heaven stuff. So I finally deleted Facebook. So I don't have Facebook anymore. Sorry, guys. But I do have Twitter, and I'm pretty clever. I don't get nearly as much love. I'm pretty popular. I'm a 100 like guy on Facebook. I'm like a once every 16 retweet guy on Twitter. But you can follow me on Twitter at Dab Savage. That would be at DAB Savage. I'm also on Instagram. I post a pretty mean selfie. So if you want to follow me on Instagram and see my good lighting and filters, you can follow me also at Dab Savage on Instagram and the Twitter.
All right, Dab, thank you very much for joining us. We had a fun interview here, and it was a fun time. Thank you very much.
That was awesome. I appreciate you guys having me on.
Absolutely. Take care.
Yeah, Dab, thank you so much for joining us.
Hey, thank you guys. Take care.
All right, it's a good interview there, and then again we thank Dab Savage for joining us.
Our guest tonight is here in honor of a national holiday coming up in the beginning stages of February. February 10th this year, National Pro Wrestling Day has come once again. It's the 6th annual National Pro Wrestling Day, and this year it will be held in Lancaster, Pennsylvania at Telus 360. It is a free event to
Best
all.
price ever.
But they will be collecting donations on site for a charity. We'll let our guests talk about that charity and so much more. But joining us tonight is the senior official of Chikara, as well as the director of fun, Mr. Bryce Remsburg.
Bryce, welcome in.
Good evening. Good evening, gentlemen. Thanks for having me. Did your bosses give you National Pro Wrestling Day off work this year?
I do have it off. It is my favorite holiday in all of February.
Great. It's my favorite holiday the whole year. I mean, there's a National Hamburger Day. There's a National Take Your Ferret to Work Day. There's a holiday for everything. So we decided to go ahead and make up our own National Pro Wrestling Day. It happens roughly around February. A different charity every year, a different location every year. I am honored and pleased and pumped and excited and all of the above to bring it with me to Lancaster this year. As you said, Sunday afternoon, February 10th, all ages event, totally free. Charitable donation is welcome but not mandatory. Bringing all the stars of Chikara with me, and I'm super pumped. Have you gentlemen had the pleasure to be inside Telus 360 yet?
I have not.
I have, actually.
Yeah, I've been to Telus. It's very nice. It's a very nice venue. Couldn't have picked a better spot, Bryce.
Yeah, no, I toured 4 different venues in Lancaster to select a place, and this was my first choice, and I'm so glad it worked out because this is the place that I really wanted to have it. And they've actually remodeled over the last few weeks. Actually, the temple, the large room, is even bigger. Previously, the bar was on the side. It would have been a tight fit with the ring. Now the bar's at the end. Plenty of room for everybody. Standing room, seats on the stage. It's going to be great, and hopefully we can have it totally packed and rocking on Sunday, February 10th. Fingers crossed. All the Pro Wrestling Day gods align. This can become a regular stop for Chikara here in Lancaster because I really feel like I'm sure you guys have covered this in great detail on your show. The market, the Central Pennsylvania market, exceptionally downtown Lancaster, is ripe for something like this. Chikara is fun for children, it's fun for hipsters, it's fun for grandparents, it's fun for dogs. Everyone has a good time at Chikara, and I think something like this is the perfect fit for 2019 Center City downtown Lancaster.
For sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And Bryce, just a little bit of background on yourself and kind of on Chikara for those that aren't really familiar with it. For you yourself, you've come a long way from Gen 1 original to senior official to director of fun. But give our audience and for anyone that is unaware of what Chikara is and all of that and how you kind of got caught up specifically in their world.
Oh, well, I'm under a distinct hush agreement. I'm just kidding. Chikara is our tagline is it's a comic book come to life. It's a fun-filled lucha super party. We're not here to insult anyone's intelligence. We've been known for our long, intrinsic, years-long storylines, but you don't need to know those to follow them. It's like you walk into a Marvel movie in the movie theater. You don't know all the background of Spider-Man, but you know you're going to have a good time because it's a good movie, and that's what we hope to achieve. Anything that doesn't fit within the confines of a PG movie doesn't fit in our events. We've been doing intergender matches since 2002, way before it was in vogue and fashionable. Ice cream cones wrestle ants. Cyberhawks wrestle proletariat boars. No gender lines, no species lines. Equal fights, equal rights. 1 part Cirque du Soleil, 1 part Marvel Live, 1 part pro wrestling, new generation WWF era, my favorite personally, and maybe a splash of like theatrics involved, kind of make the Chikara package. It is a very good entry level for, we all have had those girlfriends that didn't quite understand that quote unquote pro wrestling thing. Chikara's a great entry point. It is, my now wife, when we were dating, would bring her friends to Chikara shows because she doesn't care about pro wrestling, but this weird, ridiculous thing was fun to her. There's a bar at Tellus 360, wink, wink, if that helps the time you may have. It's a wonderful Irish pub with 4 floors of bars. But yeah, it's wrestling for the non-wrestling fan. It's a good time had by all. My 2-year-old son loves it. Fun for all ages, and there's no better opportunity to give us a try than on National Pro Wrestling Day. As you mentioned, thank you amazingly. Thanks to our friends at Tellus 360. Thanks to, everybody on the Chikara roster. Everyone is volunteering their time, volunteering their space. We're trying to put a positive spin on the 2 words that are pro wrestling. There's a negative stigma to a lot of people, especially locally, I understand, as I've gone to try to hang up posters in some places. The words pro wrestling are bad words around here. We're trying to change that. We're trying to explore the positive power of professional wrestling. We're bringing a ring. We're bringing our crew. We're going to bring a fun event to a fun place on a Sunday afternoon. It will cost you $0 and 0 cents to come check it out. If you're so inclined to give a little bit of money, that goes directly to a charity. It stays right here locally in Lancaster. It is a no-risk affair. You show up, you watch a couple matches. It's not for you. You go about your afternoon, no problem. No harm, no foul.
Exactly.
We're trying to reinvent the indie wrestling wheel here in the Lancaster area. We're trying to offer up a new flavor of ice cream. Maybe those have not tried before. Maybe a couple new colors on the art palette we can paint with here in Lancaster. We're offering something new, and like I said, it could not be easier or more stress-free or more risk-free to get on the bike and give it a try for us. That's all we're asking. Give it a shot. Come check it out. Bring the non-wrestling fan in your life. Bring the wrestling fan in your life. Bring your kids. Bring your grandparents. Bring your mailman. We're just exploring what we can possibly do here together in Lancaster. And on a wing and a prayer, fingers crossed, we'll have a full house at Tellus 360 on Sunday afternoon, February 10th.
If there's any group that can do it, it's absolutely Chikara. To change the stigma of pro wrestling anywhere, I'll put my money on Chikara 8 days of the week for sure.
There's only 7. Spoiler alert.
Exactly. Even if somewhere along the line we decided to get rid of daylight savings time and we had to create that 8th day, that is the day also that I would bet on Chikara for that. But you've mentioned
all right.
You've mentioned
Double
the cast of characters. You've mentioned all the cast of characters that you can see in Chikara, and one of my personal favorites of the pantheon of all great characters through Chikara is the late great Dragon.
We hardly knew him.
I know, and so I'm curious. I know that it's very hard to play favorites as the director of fun, but
Sure.
Since you've been there since day one, who is like, if you could pick like a top 5 of your favorite characters that have made their way in and out of Chikara, who would you say would be the most fun?
My 2 of my favorites of all time are no longer on the roster. This is no disrespect to our current roster. We have a very talented, young, hungry, amazing roster. But 2 of my favorites of all time are a character that I perhaps had a hand or an idea or a creative stroke in creating. Was someone by the name of Smooth Sailin' Ashley Remington.
Aha!
He has since gone out to sea. We haven't seen him while he showed up on a cruise recently, I understand.
Yeah.
But I haven't seen him since. Really handsome fella. Hope he's doing well. Hope he's up to good things. But yes, he and another gentleman, he was a band leader by the name of Archibald Peck.
Archie.
Right. He is also, I understand, in another life, he is moonlit as an attorney. He is moonlit as the host of a basketball podcast.
Yes.
He's a very busy man, but I'm a big fan of Archibald Peck and Ashley Remington. If you are looking to get caught up, if you are curious, we have a streaming service called Chikaratopia.com, which is merged with the good folks at IndependentWrestling.tv, formerly known as Powerbomb TV. I believe the Chikara seasons up to 2011 are on Independent Wrestling TV, but every Chikara event ever of all time that was filmed is on Chikaratopia.com. Both have free trials, 7-day free trial. As we speak right now, we are, I believe, 17 days from National Pro Wrestling Day at the IndependentWrestling.tv website. There you get a 20-day free trial with promo code Chikara. So you could sign up now, watch as many of the back events as you want, and be all caught up as we roll into National Pro Wrestling Day. I can tell you that we are trying to figure out whether or not we can stream the event live. It will definitely be filmed. It might be video on demand the next day. But we're actually meeting at TELUS this coming Tuesday to figure out, this is above my pay grade, the internet connections and all that stuff. I don't understand that stuff. I pay someone to do that as director of fun. But we're going to go run some tests and figure some stuff out and see if it is possible physically, internetually, technologically to live stream National Pro Wrestling Day. We are working on it. We do hope to be able to do it so everyone can, we can throw in a telethon aspect as well and raise as much money as we can for the Arch Street Center, which is located right here, about a mile from where I'm sitting right now in my bedroom in Lancaster, Pennsylvania.
Absolutely. And let's talk about...
Perfect timing, guys. Just so you know, my wife she would not let me talk. The season finale of The Good Place is on right now.
Oh, my.
And I was banished to the bedroom. I said, joke's on you. I got a podcast to you, baby.
As a married man myself, it is much safer just to listen and go whatever corner of the house that you're banished to. But
it worked perfectly. She's doing that. I'm doing this. All's right with the world.
Perfect.
All right, now you had talked about the Arch Street Center. Let's talk about that a little bit. And we're really going to get into National Pro Wrestling Day with you at this time. Let's talk about that first. How did the idea of National Pro Wrestling Day come to fruition?
Well, it was, as I glossed over earlier, it was really an effort to make a connection to the positive power of pro wrestling. There's a lot of, in the mainstream or the uninitiated mind, when you talk about wrestling, you think, those are the guys that do steroids and yell a lot, which, sure, when we were kids was actually true, but it's not true now. Pro wrestling is a community. I've met some of my best friends in my life because of pro wrestling. I've had some of the other Gen 1 originals were at my wedding, and I've been to their weddings. Like, these are my college brothers. I'll be in their lives forever. Like, I can't imagine my life without pro wrestling. I can't imagine my life without Chikara. That's positive power that it's brought me. So the least we think we can do is to bring that positive power back to other people. So every National Pro Wrestling Day since the first one back in 2013 in Philadelphia has been completely free. You're welcome to give a donation. It's not mandatory. No one's going to roll their eyes. No one's going to peer pressure you. We just want you to come experience pro wrestling, experience Chikara. We personally feel that the best way to experience Chikara is in a live event atmosphere. We've never been to Lancaster. We've never promoted in almost 17 years of Chikara. There's never been a Chikara event in the 717 area code.
Wow.
I grew up in Palmyra. I live in Lancaster. I am so excited to bring something that I love so much to a place that I love so much. I just moved to Lancaster in August. It's my new home. I've come to really enjoy it. I've kind of been keeping my antenna up. No colony, pun intended, to see what goes on around here, where the place is. And TELUS 360 is the place. The Arch Street Center is the charity. The Arch Street Center is a wonderful facility right here in Lancaster, kind of off the beaten path. If we have local fans listening, they're about 2 blocks from Clipper Magazine Stadium. They're actually not on Arch Street anymore. They're on Market Street, but they're tucked in the back street. They're kind of off the beaten path. A lot of people don't know about them, which the same could be said about Chikara in Lancaster. We're new to town. Not a lot of people know that we exist, except the Arch Street Center has been around for 35 years. They're in their 36th year of operation. They kind of offer a place for people to feel like they belong. It's a center for adults with mental illness that their mental illness unfortunately renders them, in many cases, unemployable. Not unemployable. It's hard for them to hold down a job. So the Art Street Center is open almost identical to business hours, 10 to 5, 10 to 6 every day. Need a place to go, have lunch, have dinner, do your laundry, take a shower, play a little pool, play a little Nintendo Wii, catch up on emails, catch up on phone calls, play some board games. It's basically just kind of a place for people to feel like they belong. And a lot of them are on the autism spectrum. A lot of, we've found, for whatever reason, a scientific reason I don't quite understand, folks on the autistic spectrum really enjoy Chikara. Maybe it's the colors and the moving parts and the whatever it is. So when I was talking to Telus 360 back in October, they mentioned to me about this place that I'd never heard of called the Art Street Center. I went over there and met with them, gave them a couple DVDs, and they were hooked. They love Chikara. So there'll be an entire VIP area at National Pro Wrestling Day. The Art Street Center has a couple of vans. They're going to load up the vans. All the members are going to come over, and they're going to be treated like royalty at National Pro Wrestling Day. The day is for them. It's for Lancaster. It's for us. It's a wonderful facility that doesn't exist in every town, unfortunately. There isn't an Art Street Center in every community. Lancaster's lucky to have one, and we're lucky to be able to present this event for them. In sponsorship money alone, we've already raised over $2,700 for the Art Street Center, which is,
wonderful.
Between the wrestling community and the Lancaster community, like, it's amazing. Our goal is to top $5,000 by the time we leave National Pro Wrestling Day. We're going to have a donation button set up on ChikaraPro.com and our Facebook page and all that during the event, and we're going to be collecting money live. We're going to be doing a raffle intermission. So many wonderful local businesses have donated distillery tours of the Stolen Wolf distillery right there in Lititz, where you guys are right now.
Yeah, kind of right around the corner from us here.
Yeah, right. The Going Bananas has donated a whole fun place, so we're ranging from kids to adults. Dipco right downtown Lancaster, right by the Central Market, the dispensing company. They just reopened after a fire. We have a gift card from them. We have a gift card from the Bread Peddler, which is a new restaurant in town. We got some swag, some goodies, like all hands on deck. And I can't explain this enough. What a team effort this is. Awesome. It's every single member of the Chikara roster is donating their time for this. No one is making a dollar. The Telus 360 has donated their space to us. They've opened their doors for us to come in, load the ring. They're taking a chance on us. They've had concerts, they've had burlesque, they've had acrobatic stuff, and they're opening the doors and letting us come in and do what we do there for the good of the community. Like, I can't say enough great things about the wonderful people at Telus 360 and just like rolling the dice on us, something they know next to nothing about. The state of Pennsylvania insists that you have a doctor on staff, like at an event present live. Our doctor's donating his time. He's waiving his fee. He wants to give the money to the charity. The Penske, the truck rental people, we have to, load the ring at the Wrestle Factory in Philadelphia, bring it out to Lancaster. They're helping us get a discount. Like, everyone from the top to the bottom is just making this such a wonderful team effort between the Chikara staff and roster and the Lancaster community. Just, again, it's like moving to realize like how everyone is working together to make this event happen for Lancaster. And it's been exciting for me as a transplant, as a newbie to Lancaster, as someone who just moved here 5 or 6 months ago, to learn how many great off-center I don't mean weird as a derogatory term, I mean weird as a compliment, type people and things that are here in Lancaster. The Dutchland Rollers is a roller derby league. They're sponsors of the event. There's an event called Zenkai Con, which is a anime and cosplay convention in March every year, right in Center City, Lancaster. They're sponsoring the event. There's an art space and a brewery called Wacker Brewing Company, which is right by my house. They're awesome. If you guys haven't been, you should totally check it out. Wacker are the best. They've been amazing with their time and energy and help with spreading the word about the event. There's a gaming store called Farbo, which is basically right across the street from Telus, right in Center City, Lancaster. And Zotropolis, which is an independent movie theater with a distillery coming on the way. They've been great to work with. They're showing our posters on their wait screens. Like, if you go see a movie at Zotropolis and you're waiting for the movie to start, you're going to see a National Pro Wrestling Day poster. The guys that designed the poster donated their time. Like, on and on and on. It's just an amazing team effort, and I'm so excited to be a part of something and to help bring something that I'm so excited about to a place that I'm so excited about in front of people I'm so excited about. So and this is not to discount you fine gentlemen at 3 Count Thursday, which, is my favorite. One better than 2 Count Thursday as a referee. I appreciate the finality. I appreciate you closing the loop, but giving me a platform to come on and talk about this is exciting. It's all hands on deck. It's a team effort. We're all in this together. Nobody's making a penny. Nobody's making a nickel. Nobody's making a dime. We're just here to bring a good thing to a good place for good people, and it's exciting. I just said good place twice in 2 different ways in the same interview. So, achievement unlocked.
And all donations, again, going to the Arch Street Center, which is a great cause. So let's talk about the action. Are we at a spot where we can talk about some of the matches that the fans are going to see at National Pro Wrestling Day?
We can. I believe we have 6 out of 7 announced, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
Let me...
go ahead.
Go ahead, Bryce.
Whatever. Today we just announced actually a 4-corner tag team match in under the Chikara rule system. A tag team needs to win 3 consecutive matches to challenge for Los Campeonatos de Parejas, which are our version of tag team championships. So we announced a 4-corner tag team match just today. The tag team of the Bird and the Bee, which is Solo Darling and Willow Nightingale, will take on the Colony, which will take on the Proteus Wheel, and they will take on Los Ice Creams, which is going to be a wild and woolly affair, to be sure. If one of those teams can eliminate all the other 3 teams in that match, they have fast-tracked themselves to a championship match. Speaking of those championships, we are in kind of a situation, a bit of a cliffhanger from our previous season finale, which was season 19. This will be the season 20 premiere in Lancaster on February 10th. Our current champions don't quite get along. They're not quite on the same page, but they're both, well-seasoned professional wrestlers. They have our tag team championships. Princess Kimberly, she was Abby Lace in NXT. She's a former grand champion of Chikara. And the Whisper will defend their titles against Cornelius Crummels and Sonny Defarge, who are former champions. They have their work cut out for them. We're talking about Missile Assault Man one-on-one with Juan Francisco de Coronado. These guys have had some epic battles, some wars. If Papa Dave Meltzer were here, he'd be rolling out the stars for these guys. They tear the house out every time they're in the same ring. Mm-hmm. Hopefully the windows are reinforced to TELUS 360. And what else do we have on tap? We have
Cyberhawks and Fist.
Travis Huckabee and Tony Deppen, the 717's own, a legacy wrestling, a PWE mainstay. Tony Deppen are going to be taking on Cyberhawks 2000, which is a Razorhawk and Dangerhawk, the flyest birds in all of the galaxy. And what else do we have? I don't know.
There was Officer Barksdale.
Oh, yes, Officer Barksdale will take on Hollow Wicked, who's a fellow Gen 1 original, a 17-year pro, a 2-time grand champion. Hollow Wicked is a trainer over at the Wrestle Factory. He's kind of like the measuring stick in a Chikara ring. Mm-hmm. So Officer Barksdale, one of the newer graduates of the Wrestle Factory, will be testing his mettle against one of our finest exports. Hollow Wicked is a name that's been synonymous with Chikara for the past 17 years. He's been all over the world. He's one of the most underrated, finest pro wrestlers. If Officer Barksdale can hang with him, he can hang with just about anyone.
And I think I'm forgetting one. The other one that was announced, and I don't remember the name fully. It's Still Life, and there's a fruit involved.
Sure. Yes. We have a stable called the Nouveau Aesthetic, which are kind of postmodern artists. Mm-hmm. There's one named Blank, who was formerly known as Race Jackson. He wears a mask now. He will be in the corner of his prized exhibit, which is his full wrestling name. It's really hard to chant, so bear with me. Still Life with Apricots and Pears. That's his art exhibit. He'll be going one-on-one with the elite talents of Miss Penelope Ford. As we said, equal rights, equal fights. We have a couple of intergender matches on the card. No big deal. I believe we have one more to announce. That's 6 out of 7, and I am told that our interim grand champion Dasher Hatfield will be in the house as well. So it's going to get interesting. It's going to be a whole thing. We're kicking off a new season in a place we've never been, and I'm so excited to as I said, bring a thing that I love to a place I love in the spirit of a thing that I love. And hopefully I'll see all you gentlemen's beautiful
Absolutely.
smiling faces in the house at Tellus 360.
Yeah, we absolutely are planning on attending that great event coming up on Sunday, February 10th. We'll give another chance later on as we wrap up the interview to plug again all of the great information about this event. But for me, I am a huge Ready to Rumble fan. These guys
It's true.
mock me on a regular basis of my love of that great piece of professional wrestling film. You recently had the opportunity to link up with former WCW world champion David Arquette at an event. What was it like being with the Gordy Boggs?
Well, let me tell you something. I will not and cannot say a negative word about David Arquette.
Awesome.
This dude does not need to do this. He is, he'll find money somehow, some way. His meet and greet line, I was shared a ring with him at WrestlePalooza in Minneapolis, Minnesota 2 or 3 weeks ago. He wrestled Colt Cabana. And this guy couldn't have been nicer to the fans, to the guys in the locker room. He's just like a legitimate fan. He was watching the rest of the show. He was so nervous before he went out. His meet and greet line was moving so slow because he was stopping and having a conversation with everyone, learning their name. There was a nod. He actually beat Colt Cabana with a diamond cutter, which is a nod to the movie.
Awesome.
Cabana got up on the top rope and said, "I will rule you."
Yes.
Yeah, right?
That is awesome.
There weren't enough people for a 4-post massacre, unfortunately. But like, I don't know what he charges, but he's worth every penny. He could have been a nicer guy to everyone in the locker room, in the crowd, just amazing, off the charts experience. And then he, when it was over, he tweeted me and said, "Great job, thanks, Bryce." And I was like, "Well,
Nice.
I'm
That's
gonna
awesome.
print this out and put it in the refrigerator like it's a report card, right?"
Exactly.
And my wife was like, "Maybe we'll put it on the side." I was like, "No, we're putting it on the front of the refrigerator." So for now, it's there on a frame. We'll see. When my son gets old enough to actually do impressive things, then we'll move it up the side. But for now, David Arquette's kind words are top of the pops for me. If there are any promoters listening, above and beyond the Call of Duty, I cannot say an even partially negative thing about him.
Awesome. Yeah, as I say, I don't know the missus, but you can tell her from us that does belong on the front, at least for the time being.
Okay, I'll pass it on. She'll be like, "Are they 2 count?" No, I'll say
That's
3
three.
counts
That's three.
Thursday, please.
Right.
How dare you underserve them with a kick out?
Exactly. We closed that up.
That's right.
So, Bryce, kind of in the same vein, do you have a favorite wrestling memory that you were part of?
Oh man,
Chikara or not even? We can branch out.
My favorite probably, like, I don't know if you guys are familiar with a guy called Sweet and Sour Larry Sweeney.
Mm-hmm.
He was he started with Chikara and he kind of blew up. He was a manager of the Ring of Honor. He was an enigmatic, one-of-a-kind talent. Unfortunately, he struggled with mental illness, which is unfortunately why he took his own life in 2011. Not to cast a weird spell over things, but that's why mental illness is so close to our hearts at Chikara.
Right.
And we named, the year that he unfortunately passed on, we named a tournament after him. Chikara existed for 9 years without a primary singles championship. We had tag team titles. We had like a rookies title we called the Young Lions Cup. We did not have a headline championship, which is now known as the Grand Championship of Chikara. So we named the tournament to crown the first grand champion after Larry Sweeney. It was called the 12 Large Summit. So this, 6 or 7 month, 12-person round-robin tournament all kind of culminated with the first Chikara iPay-per-view, which is what they were called back then before they were, before you could stream on your phones. You'd order an iPay-per-view. You'd watch wrestling on your laptop or your computer, which was a big deal in 2011. And the main event of the first Chikara iPay-per-view was Mike Quackenbush, the founder of Chikara, against Eddie Kingston, who was Sweeney's best friend, fighting for this title. And I was the referee for the match. It really felt like that night is when Chikara arrived. It was, the world saw it. We had 800 people in the ECW arena in South Philadelphia, and it was just professionally and emotionally, it was so fulfilling for what we did for Sweeney's memory, what we did for Chikara. It was an amazing night, and I will be hard pressed to beat that as a memory. I am, however, this is a bit of, future prognosticating, but I have been lucky enough to referee in, I think, 30 or 31 states and 6 countries, and in front of all kinds of different crowds of people, from crowds as small as 10 or 15 people to as big as, 2,500 people at the Hammerstein Ballroom or the Manhattan Center in New York City. But on May 25th, I'm going to be refereeing at the MGM Grand Arena in Las Vegas.
Wow.
In front of, I don't know, I believe it holds 17,000 people. I don't know if it will sell out. Tickets aren't even on sale yet. But, the fact that, someone like me who's been at the game for such a long time gets to do something like this, in my 18th year as a referee is, really exciting and fulfilling. And, keep your eyes peeled to what the good gentlemen at All Elite Wrestling are doing, because I think they have a vision that is different than anything we've seen before, and I think they have something to offer the wrestling world that hasn't been offered previously.
Awesome.
That's fair to say.
Congratulations on that. And 17,000 is a little bit more than normally tunes into 3 count. Just a little bit, though.
That's a couple
really,
more.
really good. Wow. Congratulations.
You guys usually peak around 16.5, right?
Yeah, right around there.
We're not going to
around
brag about it, but wow, I'm taking it back, Bryce. That's awesome. I was already excited for All Elite Wrestling, but now that I know that you're officially all in,
It's one show. It's
Hey,
I'm really nice. I'm really glad that
one
when
is
I
one.
picked the Young Bucks up. But I used to pick up the Young Bucks at the airport in 2009, 2010 when they would come to Chikara. The Young Bucks are former Chikara Champions de Parejas. They held our tag team titles in 2012 and 13, I want to say. We were the first. The Young Bucks will tell you this. The first promoters to give a plane ticket to believe in the Young Bucks to fly them across the country was Chikara. And I used to be the one that would pick them up at the airport. And I'm so lucky I was nice to them. And I'm so lucky that they liked me. And, I got a really exciting Twitter DM on Christmas Eve. And, I'll be in Vegas in May. And, support
Awesome.
it. Support wrestling.
Heck yeah.
Support wrestling small. Support wrestling small and big,
1,000%. It's so awesome. But to change gears back to Chikara, I didn't want to let you go without asking not personal, but a question that's been sitting on me and other Chikara fans.
I told you I'm married.
I know. You've told me numerous times before that. I know.
You asked my address. I said no.
It's not you. It's me. I get it. I understand.
Yeah, right.
But for the Chikara fans that are watching and listening at home, you had mentioned earlier about a little bit of wishy-washiness with the Campeonatos de Parejas, but there's also a bit of uncertainty with the Grand Championship right now. As you mentioned, the interim champion, Dasher Hatfield, at the end of season 19, we also saw the return of Mr. Touchdown, Mark Angelicetti, who is the actual Chikara Grand Champion. As the director of fun, I know that you've had your mind and the gears are spinning in multiple directions, including National Pro Wrestling Day. But where are you at in the headspace of figuring out what's going on with the Chikara Grand Championship?
That is an excellent question. To bring everyone up to speed, Mr. Touchdown, Mark Angelicetti, won the Grand Championship. He ended a 16 or 17 month reign of Juan Francisco de Coronado back in August at Chikarasaurus Rex. The next event, 3 weeks later at King of Trios, he hurt his ankle and was unable to defend the title. So I, as director of fun, realized we needed to have a Grand Championship title defenses on Chikara events. We'd never been in this boat before. We'd never had an injured Grand Champion. So I gave Mr. Touchdown the power to name his interim Grand Champion, name the person that would defend the belt in his honor, in his stead. And he named Dasher Hatfield, which is no surprise. It's his step-cousin-in-law, his tag team championship partner. As long as Mr. Touchdown's been in Chikara, which I think is 6 or 7 years at this point, he's been linked to Dasher Hatfield. He names Dasher the champion. Dasher defends the belt successfully, I think, 4 times in the back half of the season. And then at the season finale, Mr. Touchdown shows up and announces that he's cleared to return. He's ready to take the belt back and be the champion again. And Dasher Hatfield hits Mr. Touchdown with the belt. normally around the holiday season, we take some time off. The offices close. You don't get a hold of people. You're not in the constant conversation. This is our first event back. We've been, by the time February 10th comes along, we will have gone 9 weeks without promoting a live event, which is a long time for us.
Oh, absolutely.
Usually, so a couple events a month. I have asked both Dasher and Mark to be in Lancaster on February 10th. I don't know that we'll get some resolution, but I do know that, it's Mark's belt, and he won the title, and the understanding that the three of us had, is that when Mark was physically cleared to return, he would resume the duties of Grand Champion.
Correct.
I have a doctor's note that says Mark is physically cleared to return. Dasher is in a physical possession of the belt itself.
That's 9/10.
But that is 9/10 of the law. That is true. But logistically, and by all intents and purposes, Mark is the champion.
Right.
So, as I said, I've asked them both to be in Lancaster on February 10th. And perhaps we can air some grievances live and figure some stuff out as only the pro wrestling world. What would be a National Pro Wrestling Day without airing your grievances and talking about your feelings into a microphone when music plays when you enter? That's how it's going to be.
That sounds sounds like there's going to be some business.
We'll see what we can accomplish in Lancaster.
All right. Now that I've hit you with the hard question, I'll give you a little bit of a layup. I'm currently addicted to the Kingdom of Trios game. That's available on mobile.
Luckily, it's also free.
It is also free. Tell us a little bit about the game, and be honest, how many hours have you put in on it?
Not as many as I would have liked, because I am.
Well, you're director of fun. Yeah.
I have played it. It's addicting. Many of my hats don't allow me a lot of free time. The one of my daytime job, the one of director of fun, the one of father and husband of Good Place Watching Wives. But it is great. It's free. It's worth a shot. Everybody I've talked to says it's so addicting.
It is.
And I know that a lot of man hours and time have gone into making it be possible. So I'm excited that the public is now able to digest it and enjoy it, and a lot of elbow grease and time went into making it, and I implore everyone to check it out. It's both Android and Apple device compatible and friendly and free.
Yep, and that's Kingdom of Trios if you're looking for it on your Google's Play Store or your iOS Apple Marketplace. Super.
Have at it.
All right, Bryce. One question that we always like to ask when we have superstars on is their dream match. Like what superstar, what type of match, what is their dream match? So you as an official, if you could put yourself in to officiate any contest across the history of this great business, what would your dream match to officiate be?
If I'm taking away all points of logistics and what's possible and what's not.
Yes.
I will tell you straight up. It would be Andy Kaufman versus Jerry Lawler in Memphis in 1982.
Nice.
I have long carried a torch for the intersection of comedy and wrestling, hence my fandom of Colt Cabana and David Arquette and Ashley Remington and Archibald Peck, and on and on and on. But I've been obsessed with wrestling since I was probably 8 or 9. I've been obsessed with Andy Kaufman probably since I was 13 or 14. I saw Man on the Moon twice in the theater, and, he died when I was 1. So the odds of me refereeing for him were not good, let's be honest. There was not good odds of that. But I've refereed for Jerry Lawler. I've refereed for a match in which Jimmy Hart was managing on the outside.
Wow.
I have not refereed in Memphis yet, but it's on my bucket list. I do aspire to referee one pro wrestling match in the city limits of Memphis. And my current T-shirt that I am begging people to buy at shows is an homage to Andy Kaufman's Intergender Wrestling Champion of the World shirt. I wore it and showed it to Jerry Lawler when I was in New Orleans last year for WrestleMania and got my picture taken with him wearing it. So I have played 6 degrees of Andy Kaufman as much as I possibly can, I think, except until I get to Memphis and referee, because I will never referee for him. But I've done everything I can to try to, be as close to him as possible. And I, talked Jimmy Hart's ear off, asking Andy Kaufman questions. I asked Jerry Lawler a bunch of questions, but that would be my dream match. Mid-South Coliseum, 1982, Kaufman versus Lawler. Oh man, that's it.
Yeah,
that's pro wrestling.
That's about as perfect as it gets. And if you have any of those shirts that are Fat Man friendly, you have at least one sale of that,
right.
because I love that movie. My dad loved Andy Kaufman. He loved showing him to me as I was growing up. So that is a definite sale.
Fat Man friendly. That's so PC.
They're sponsoring the event at LVAC, Lehigh Valley Apparel Creations. They printed those shirts. They even took it upon themselves to put some cool puffing stuff in the black, so it feels like it's velvet, like a 1982 T-shirt. It's awesome. It's so cool. So yes, please, yes.
All right, perfect.
Yeah, that for sure.
So Bryce, before we let you go here tonight, let everybody know where they can kind of keep track of you and your journey through this great business, and also just remind everyone again about the great event, National Pro Wrestling Day on Sunday, February 10th.
Do you want my address? Is that where you keep track of me?
Well, we can't
You
do
already
that.
told me I
can't
couldn't
do that
have
because
it.
Tim's here at the table.
I'll take my headphones off. Go ahead.
I can be found dropping my son off at daycare most mornings in the greater Lancaster area. That's all I'm going to say. I know you guys got cameras everywhere. No, I'm on the internet at Bryce is Right on Twitter. A woman, when I signed up for Twitter, had Bryce is Right. She wouldn't give it up. I asked many times, and I said, I'll explore my street side. I'll be Bryce is Right.
There you go.
And then maybe a year or two ago, she finally was like, you can have it. I was like, you know what? I don't want it anymore. I had also made a bunch of shirts that said Bryce is Right, and I was like, it's kind of a part of me. And so that's my Twitter handle. I'm on Instagram sometimes, Facebook once in a while. But I am very interested, especially now, as, pro wrestling is not my income. It doesn't pay my bills. It's this fun hobby that I have. So I love doing things that are different, out of the box, weird ideas in fun places. Tomorrow night I'm doing an event in Silver Spring, Maryland at a theater company is running their first wrestling event. It's very theatrical, and there's it's sold out for whatever reason. I don't know. This guy's doing it for the first time, and it's sold out. That's interesting to me. I want to go do things like that. And I'm just so lucky to know so many people, to be so plugged in that, I can be in the ring with Kikutaro and Orange Cassidy in Asbury Park, New Jersey, and then I could be in the ring a week later with David Arquette and Colt Cabana in Minnesota, and now I'll be in a theater in Silver Spring, Maryland tomorrow night, and I'll be at Telus 360 in a couple of weeks. The wrestling journey where it's taken me, I'm super, super lucky, and I'm very low odds of experiencing CTE for all my wrestling adventures. So there's that. I've gone places and met people and done things that I shouldn't be allowed to do. I'm super lucky, and I'm super excited that anyone even cares to talk to me, let alone it's all great. It's cool. Mm-hmm. It's great. And I hope I'll see all of you fine gentlemen and every person listening at National Pro Wrestling Day at Telus 360 on Sunday afternoon, February 10th at 2 p.m. Telus 360 has an event that night. We'll be done by 4:30. We'll have you about your way. I encourage everyone to go out and make a day of it. If you're from out of town, come into Lancaster. Check out some of the sponsors. Go have dinner. Go have one of those awesome hot dogs and a pint of beer at Wacker Brewing Company or wherever. Make a day of it. But it starts at 2. It'll be over at 4:30. Donations are welcome. They're accepted with a smile, but they are not mandatory. There is no barrier, no wall of entry. Just come and give us a shot. Check it out. Let's all enjoy pro wrestling together. If there'll be a bar there if that's your thing. You want to bring your kids? No problem. They'll put little tiny X's on their little tiny hands. Everyone of all ages, colors, creeds, whatever. Everyone is welcome at National Pro Wrestling Day, and we are so excited to explore the positive power of professional wrestling right here in the Red Rose City for the very first time.
All right, Bryce, thank you so much. We look forward to seeing you at that great event in just a couple of weeks.
Cheers, guys. Thanks for having me.
Take care, Bryce.
Good night.
Have a good night.